I'm gonna start recording now, but we're gonna get right after that, 7 o'clock. Right after, because I never want to take away what Phil and Susan are gonna say. So I'm gonna give you all your feedback time, and then I want to give Phil and Susan as much time as possible. If you're new here, this goes to 7 to 8:30. We normally end around 8, but the 30 minutes extra is there for that cushion. And I heard Shannon R. Clark say today that this is just something that is not done before, not done often. And you'll see when you see it. Grace is pretty good. She gets no favor from me. None. No favor. And I don't even think Phil and Susan have heard you speak, so that's actually pretty good. Well, maybe on a couple of videos or something. But that's pretty good. Surely, unless you caught some sales training videos from our conferences, you haven't heard Grace. But it's going to be pretty good. Again, let me just say one more again, if we was in the 90s, but since we're not, one more time, or she said don't be hard either, Shannon. I'll be hard on everybody on the second round. I will do the same standard. Let me just compliment all of you one more time, because you show up, and that is a blessing. Brian is even here. Before we get started, why don't we just unmute real quick, y'all, and wish this man happy anniversary. It's his wedding anniversary. Real quick, let's wish Brian a happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
There you go. Yes, it is his anniversary. Thank y'all for doing that. And he been with his wife all day, as he should have been. There you go, sir. As he should have been. He's been with his wife all day, and we will not stop that. Well, it is 7 o'clock. Let me pull up this bio. 7, and we are grateful. Hold on. Okay, got you. Boom. And then, all right, now we get 7 o'clock. So let's go ahead and get started. I have sent the bio. Grace did turn in her bio to Tempest, which turned it into me, and then Phil and Susan has the bio, so I'm going to read it. And we'll go from there. Grace Sandles is a trained speaker, as well as the CEO of her own company. After teaching middle school math for 11 years, Grace retired at the age of 37 because she knew there was something else out in the world for her to do. She is the happiness director of the ATSJR companies and the CEO of Go Figure, and a company that helps students, parents, math teachers, and adults wanting to go back to school and have the best math experiences. Even though Grace has left the classroom, she still believes in helping whomever she can achieve mathematics to go on and pursue their dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you that you are in for a treat. I now present to you the Grace Y. Sandles, as she comes in her own way. Woo! Muted. Hold on real quick, she's muted, and then we'll start. All right, now.
Thank you so much, Antonio, for that welcome. Thank you to you and Tempest for this platform and the opportunity to speak to all of you. If you don't mind, those of you who can, I'd love to see your shining faces. So if you could, just cut your video on. If you can, I understand. But those of you who can, I'd love to see your shining faces. Thank you so much. By show of hands, how many of you, when you were a kid, enjoyed coloring in coloring books? I know I did. Matter of fact, I loved it so much, I got a coloring app on my phone right now. It's okay that I'm an adult. It's okay. Now, when you started coloring, you would use several different colors and would never, ever stay inside the line. But however it turned out, someone would still say how wonderful your picture was. Whether it was one of your parents, one of your grandparents, an aunt or uncle, or even a teacher, they would always tell you how great the picture was. Then as you matured, You learn to use the proper colors and stay inside the lines. And someone could see vast improvements. Many of us know what it's like to be disobedient outside the lines, but as we mature, we learn to stay inside the lines. Ladies and gentlemen, while growing up, I had friends, but they didn't want to hang around me much, and I couldn't understand why. Then one day, in a country town called Etna, Texas, as an adult, I was talking to two good friends of mine about my situation as a kid. All of a sudden, one of the friends I was talking to, who happened to be a childhood friend, made me aware that the reason my friends didn't hang around me much was because I had an anger problem. She then told me that when I came around, they didn't know which grace was going to show up. You see, my anger had me outside the line. But as I matured and my mentor, Antonio T. Smith Jr., helped me to release my anger, I learned to stay inside the line. Is there something going on in your life that has you outside the line? Are you struggling with guilt, depression, anger, low self-esteem, fear, or some other struggle? Whether you are or you know someone who is, I'm here to tell you that if you truly want to stop struggling and stay inside the line, ease is coming. And that's what I want to talk to you about this evening. Ease is coming. When you make the decision that you want better for your life and choose to grow, that's when life gets easier. Until you decide, you'll continue to stay outside the lines. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, indecision is a decision. It's just one that doesn't serve you. If I hadn't decided that I didn't want to be angry anymore, when Shannon made me aware that I had an anger problem, by the way, that's my childhood friend, Dr. Shannon R. Clark, I'd still be in the frame, not seeing the big picture. Earlier in my keynote, I was telling you that Antonio helped me to release the anger that I had. And let me tell you, it was not an easy task. I gave this man the blues, okay? I wasn't giving up my anger for anything, okay? I fought him tooth and nail, but he stayed with me. And because he stayed with me, I began to listen. And when I began to listen and do the things I'm about to share with you this evening, life got easier. These things helped me a great deal. And I believe if you follow them, life will get easier for you too. Come on and take a walk with me through my journey to an easier life. First, life gets easier when you stop projecting. I'll say that again for my note takers. Life gets easier when you stop rejecting. When you reject everything, you're easily offended by everything. When you reject everything, you also become arrogant. If you're easily offended, that means your mind becomes closed and you don't want to hear anything anyone has to say. That's what arrogant means in this situation. Your mind isn't open to receive new information. Also, when you reject everything, you always, and I do mean always, have to be right. When you always have to be right, you turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to what anyone who is trying to help you says. This does nothing but lead you to a road opposite of the easier life that you desire. As Antonio was helping me to release my anger, I constantly rejected everything he said. Everything. Constantly. He'll tell you. Just ask him. I constantly rejected because whatever he said, it was either what he said to me or the way he said it, I got offended. And because I got offended, ears closed. I heard him, but I wasn't listening. Therefore, I became arrogant. Didn't want to receive any kind of new information. And then I always had to be right. Always. Either I gave a rebuttal to what he was saying or I was silent. Either way, he was going to know that I was mad at him. And my rebuttal was because I wanted to be right, and my silence was because I wanted to be right. How many of you have been like that or were like that? Don't play with me now. When I kept rejecting, I kept getting the same thing I said I didn't want anymore, anger. But when I finally decided to stop rejecting, I knew ease was coming. Secondly, life gets easier when you embrace that you're living with something that isn't serving you. Life gets easier when you embrace that you're living with something that isn't serving you. How many of you have struggled with something that wasn't serving you? How many of you have had someone who cared enough about you to tell you that you were struggling with something and it wasn't serving you, but you weren't trying to hear it? Again, don't play with me. I know I'm not the only one on this call. We've all had some struggles. The first step to any 12-step program for addiction is to admit that you have a problem. Just like drugs and alcohol, anger, depression, guilt, low self-esteem, fear, they can be addictions. They're all addictions. My addiction happened to be anger. The only way to release your struggle is to realize that you're struggling and recognize how it's not serving you in a way to an easier life. Earlier, I told you that rejecting leads you to a road opposite of the life, an easier life that you desire. Well, if rejecting leads you to that road, denial keeps you on that road. Antonio would tell me all the time, listen, this anger you got going on, it's not helping you in any way. And he knew how to talk to me. He knew my language was money. He said, hey, you can't be angry and get money at the same time. This anger is not serving you. You can't be angry and have friends. This anger is not serving you. Again, he knew how to talk to me. He knew what I wanted. He knew what I desired. And so he told me, this anger, it won't get you what you want. And then he would always tell me, and it sticks with me to this day, don't be the friend who always needs motivating. Do not be the friend who always needs motivating. That reminds me of a story that I read about a gentleman who ran track in high school. He was the 400-meter league champion 2 years in a row. He had competed overseas in places such as Germany and Holland. However, his track and field career didn't start so well. In 6th and 7th grade, he literally lost every race. But after the race, his dad would say, don't worry about it. There's a winner in you. That sounded ridiculous to him because surely his dad had seen that he had just lost the race and yet had the audacity to say he was a winner. But from 8th grade to his senior year in high school, he never lost a race. After his last race as a senior, his dad reminded him that he had known that there was a winner in him. Even though he couldn't see it, his dad always saw the best of him. The son was angry with what his dad told him, that there was a winner in him. And I can understand why he was angry. If I lost every race in 6th and 7th grade, and my dad comes to me and says, don't worry about it, there's a winner in you. Dad, did you just not see that I lost do you know how many races there are you could have in 6th and 7th grade? I know that's more than 10. Losing 5 would get to me in a row, 6th and 7th grade. Wow. But as he embraced what his dad always told him, from 8th grade on, he never lost another race. And just like the son, when I realized that my anger wasn't helping me, I knew ease was coming. Next point, life gets easier when you learn to let go. Life gets easier when you learn to let go. How many of you out there know that there's freedom in letting go? You must let go of that which doesn't serve you. You must let go. Earlier, I told you that rejecting leads you to the opposite road of an easier life. Then I told you denial will keep you on that road. Well, holding on to what doesn't serve you will have you going down that road for a very long time. I had to learn to let go of my anger because it did not serve me at all. Antonio would tell me to always ask myself, and this is another thing that sticks with me to this day, ask myself if what I'm angry about is worth being angry about. He said like this, Grace, you gonna sell your happiness for whatever you're angry about? That one hurt. So that one sticks to the floor, to the back, and comes to the forefront of my mind all the time. Because don't get it twisted, anger still tries to pop its ugly head up. But instead of being angry for hours now, I'm angry for just a moment because I reevaluate. What are you angry about? This is really nothing to be angry about. Get over it. Keep it moving. I want you to do something for me, ladies and gentlemen. I need you to take both of your hands and pretend that you're holding on to something. Hold on real tight. Now, what did you have to do to hold on? You had to close your hands. So, what happens when you keep your hands closed? You can't grab hold to anything else, and that easier life that you desire won't come. Why? Because your hands are closed. You're hanging on for dear life. Now, what I want you to do is that thing that you're pretending to hold on to, let go of. Tell me something. How do your hands feel? They feel free. They feel ready to receive what is you're deserving of. They feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I shouldn't be doing this because this brings pain. But this brings freedom. An old Zen story is told of two traveling monks who reached a town where there was a young woman waiting to step out of her sedan chair. Now, if you don't know what a sedan chair is, because I had to look it up, I had a feeling, but I had to look it up to make sure. Sedan chair is a chair that someone sits in, but there are two poles, one pole under the right side, one pole under the left side. That way, two people can be in the front and two people are in the back holding the poles so that they can carry whoever is in the chair. The rains had made deep puddles, and she couldn't step across without spoiling her silken robes. Ladies, you know how we are in the rain. We don't want hair or clothes getting messed up. So she stood there looking very cross and impatient. She was scolding her attendants. They had nowhere to place the packages they held for her, so they couldn't help her across the puddle. The younger monk noticed the woman, said nothing, and walked on by. But the older monk quickly picked her up, put her on his back, transported her across the water, and put her down on the other side. Guess what, y'all? She didn't thank the older monk. She just shoved him out of the way and departed. As they continued on their way, the young monk was brooding and preoccupied. After several hours, unable to hold his silence, if I was in church, I would say unable to hold his peace, he spoke out. That woman back there was very selfish and rude, but you picked her up, put her on your back, and carried her. And then she didn't even thank you. The older monk replied, I set that woman down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her? Ladies and gentlemen, you must learn to let go of what isn't serving you. When I finally learned to let go of my anger, ease had come. Let's recap. Life gets easier when you stop rejecting. Life gets easier when you embrace that you're living with something that isn't serving you. And life gets easier when you learn to let go. When I learned to apply these things in my life, I released my anger. I gained 6 of the best friends I could ever have who love me no matter what. I was able to retire at the age of 37. And I lived a life that I have dreamed of living. 2 days ago, which was Sunday at the time of this recording, at my church, we have what's called prayer time, and we have people in the church called prayer warriors. These people you can go to and ask for them to pray for you. Both my parents happen to be prayer warriors. And so I went down and I saw that no one was asking my mom for prayer. So I hurried so I could get to her. And I said, Mom, I don't have anything specific. I just want my mama to pray for me. And she did. And as I was listening to her pray for me, she said several things. She thanked God for my business partners. She thanked God for the life that I was living that I desired. And then she thanked God for how much happier I am in my life. And as I listened to my mom pray and thank God for the things that are going on in my life, I just smiled because I realized Mama noticed how ease has come for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I challenge you to apply these things in your life and watch how ease comes. I want to thank you for walking with me along my journey to ease. Grace Yvonne Williams Sandles, I will see you at the top and not from the top. We'll now have Q&A session. If anybody has any questions, you have the floor.
I have a question. Hey, Grace.
Yes, sir. Hey, Law.
What was the process that you used to let go of your anger? Was it just an automatic, or was it like a step-by-step process that you went through?
Good question. It wasn't an automatic. It was an Antonio constantly being in my ear. And I compare him a lot to my mom because a lot of things that my mom tell me they stay in the back of my head. And then when I needed them, they happen to come to the forefront. And so the things he told me, some of the things he told me, they stuck. And when I got angry, I paused and I would ask myself those questions Antonio asked, such as, like I was saying earlier, are you going to sell your happiness for this? Is it worth being this angry about this situation? And 10 times out of 10, the answer was no. So it was a long process because, again, I did what I could to hold on to that anger. But I finally realized when he told me, hey, you're not going to get the friends that you desire, that you yearn for, you're not going to get them, you're going to push them away. And I didn't want that. I had 6 friends, and I didn't want any of them to leave me. They stayed with me through the anger. They kept encouraging me through the anger, not just Antonio, but Tempest, Shannon, Deanna, Bryant, and Michelle. And to this day, if any one of them see me getting a little woo, they'll be like, okay. Deanna will be like, okay, woo, stop. Hold on. It'll be okay. Calm down. Shannon's just going to give it to me straight. Look, friend. And she'll just go into what she needs to tell me. Everybody on this platform knows Antonio. He's going to be straight with no chaser, like Lisa Nichols says. Tempest could relate to me, and so she would tell me certain things. And then Michelle and Bryant would do the same, and they'd be calm and talk with me. But it was a process, and I appreciate every time and everything that they've done for me thus far. Thank you for your question, Laura. I hope that helped.
Thank you.
Chris Holmes, go ahead, sir. You're very welcome. Yes, sir, Chris.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, my question is the importance of staying open-minded and then accepting not always being right, because I love the points that you were hitting on, but I wanted you to explain in your own words the importance of like those two key things.
Yes, sir. The first one he said. Could you tell me the first one again? You said, I know the second one was the importance of being right.
And the first one is the importance of staying open-minded.
Ah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Woo. All right, Chris. The importance of staying open-minded. Yes, I struggled with that one. Because like I said, like I was telling you, when you rubbed me the wrong way and I got offended, mine shut off. But as I began to think, the things that I really do want, my mind can't stay shut off. Because if this is my mind, I'm not able to receive because I'm closed. But the more I stay open, the more I'm able and willing to receive. So being open-minded is very, very important. If you just tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to commit to staying open-minded no matter what happens, no matter what is said, no matter what is done. It's not going to be easy, but if you make the commitment and be disciplined and decide that you want to be open-minded, it will happen. The importance of the importance of not having to be right all the time. I struggle with that one a lot too. When I've decided, hey, it's okay to be wrong sometimes and not right. My issue was I didn't like looking stupid. So I had to be right. If I was wrong, I looked stupid and I don't like being embarrassed. I had to get over that because not everybody is right all the time. Nobody is perfect. And I had to realize that. Antonio told me all the time, listen, you want to be right or you want to be rich? Because everybody that I know is right all the time is poor. They're broke. They always got an opinion. They know everything. Yet they don't have any, they check their harvest is what he would always tell me. And that would come to the forefront of my mind. So I'll tell you, you want to be right or you want to be rich? People that are rich always keep an open mind and don't have to be right all the time. They're not even looking to be right. I hope that helped you, Chris.
Yes, thank you.
All right. All right, I got time for one more question.
Yes.
All right. Oh.
Grace, I feel personally that you were talking directly to me, and it was soul searching. I really enjoyed your keynote. I have your pacing. I love your pacing because you didn't rush. It was so personal, and the demonstration with the hands, the fist, was very helpful to me because I personally have had to deal with those issues of letting go, and I thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bastine. I told Source Me, this Baptist is deep in me. If I can help just one somebody on this call, I hope I could. And I thank you. I'm grateful that I was able to help you.
Wonderful keynote. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, I'm stopping her right there. Total time is 24 minutes and 45 seconds. That's good stuff. Yes. Sally said, Grace, you better use all your, yes, use all your time. I have that broken down real quick and do some math. 24:45. Give me a second. Let's see. 24:45 minus 18:13. Your Q&A took 6 minutes and 32 seconds. Well, there's something in your Q&A too that I'm going to bring out. So good for you. Your Q&A, I actually have it in your rubric, but your Q&A actually added value. You didn't just use it to fill time. It actually added value. Your Q&A was valuable. It wasn't just, all right, let me just do this real quick. So no. You actually added value in your Q&A. It was purposeful. You had content there. So good job to you because it wasn't a useless Q&A. Okay, good job. Good job. All right, peers, let's hear some feedback. I do mine along the way, and we let Phil and Susan have it. Let's go. All right, Deanna has her hand up first.
You killed it. I love the story. Just like Vaseline said, I love the storytelling. I love the exercise using the hands. So I'm sitting here like this, and I'm like, yeah. And you said, but if you're holding on to that, you can't grab anything else. I'm like, oh, well, dang. Okay, let me let it go. But I love the story with the monk. It hit me. It really did. Because things happen to us in the morning, and we still holding on to them by the time we go to sleep. I learned so. I have notes. Life gets easier when you stop rejecting. It took me a while to figure that one out. And you're absolutely right. Life gets so much easier when you stop rejecting and when you let go. You absolutely killed it. I absolutely loved it. Thank you so much for adding value to me this evening. Thank you.
All right, so I want to just say, okay, we want to get Vince and then Pam. Well, actually, you know what? Before I say something, let me see if Vince or Pam is going to say it. Go ahead, Vince, Pamela Norris, you're next. And then I'll pause before we get to Shannon. Go ahead, Vince.
Okay, great. So, hey, Grace, I enjoyed it. Just like Vaseline said, it's one of those things where I knew you were talking to me because I have that personality of not necessarily being angry, but I am I'm very direct when I talk with someone. If someone rubs me the wrong way, my wife gets on me all the time. I will cut them off in a heartbeat. But I still struggle with that letting go. So when you were using the fist, I was like, okay, where is she going with this? Where is she going with it? Okay, tighten it, see, and then let it go. That's just like letting go all that anger. So that was a great analogy you used for me, just to when I come dealing with those challenging personalities, how to just to take a deep breath and let them go. So I really enjoyed that. And let's see here. That was it for me.
Good stuff. I sure appreciate you, man. And good stuff. You find some good stuff. Pamela Norris, all the way from Maui, Ohio.
Great. I like the fact that you said you invited us to go on a journey with you. And I felt I was on the journey. You described it so completely and used words that just created imagery for me that I just could feel the emotion. So I thank you because it was a very useful journey for me to attend with you.
Good stuff. Sure appreciate you, Pamela Norris. I'm going to go ahead and call on Shannon. I want to see if Shannon's going to say it. Go ahead, Shannon.
I'm not going to say it. All I'm going to say is that I am very proud of my friend, and you did a great job. Like everybody else, I think you are phenomenal at telling stories. Your memory of stories is impeccable. I can tell growing up, you were listening in church a lot more than I was because you tell stories phenomenally. You tell stories like you could be a great preacher. What I do want to say though is I want you to, the next time, don't say, I'm going to say that again if you're taking notes. You command them to write it down because what you just gave is a healing for a lot of people. And so you tell them, write this down. Don't give them the option because what you just gave, like Tony said, you had a value added Q&A. That's phenomenal for a speaker. That's like trophy. That's like bonus points. Like you get 100 and then you get 102 or 103 because you went over and beyond. So I think that you should try to incorporate telling them to write it down. Write this down. You're going to want to write this down. You need to write this down. But that's all I had to say. You did a great job. I'm very, very proud of you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Hold on before you respond, Grace. Law has his mic unmuted. He ready to jump in like double dutch. Come on, Law. Let us hear you. No, you muted yourself. Hold on.
Oh, I muted myself. Okay, I'm back. Grace loved the keynote. What stuck out most to me was the illustration when the monk was carrying the woman over the puddle of water. And what got me was like, you guys are still on that. I let that woman down a while ago and you're still holding on to it. So for me, that really hit me. And that just tells me that, I need to let go of some things. Because sometimes it's hard for me. If someone rubs me the wrong way, just as Vince says, that's it. It's done. There's no going back. I'll still address you, but that's about it. So that spoke volumes to me. So I really did appreciate that message. And Thank you.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So, Grace, before we get more of your peers, before I say something, you want to respond to any of the energy you get? Somebody on the chat said your lips is popping. Somebody said that. Yes.
Thank you.
Was that Law?
I do what I can.
Yeah, it's probably a lot of that. Okay, go ahead.
You know, I forgot to mention that.
Thank you to all of you. I don't want to keep everybody out. Vince, thank you so much for those words. I understand where you are. Just like Law said, once somebody rubs you the wrong way, I understand. It's hell trying to keep your mind open. It really is. But you got to talk to yourself and say, hey, is closing my mind going to get me where I want to go? Ms. Pam, thank you so much. Thank you. I was glad that I was able to get a picture in your mind in my stories and where I was going. And thank you again for walking with me on my journey to ease. Shannon, friend, yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. No, I will do what you said. Write this down. Did I miss anybody? Okay, I think that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
It's going to be some more. No, go ahead.
I got something to say too.
Okay. You coming.
I'm sorry.
Whoever that is talking.
Did I cut somebody off? I'm sorry.
No, ma'am. Go ahead. Jump on in there.
Thank you, Grace, for bringing such a valuable topic. It's one of my favorite topics, one of my favorite issues for many reasons. And, you know, no pun intended, but you do it with such grace, too. A lot of people, when you do a talk on anger, when they revisit it, you can see so much of that anger still with them, but you do it with such grace. It's like you've really processed the anger and put it somewhere. And I was tempted to ask you in the Q&A, where did you put it? But I'm not going to belabor that point now. Maybe we can talk about that at some point.
No, go ahead. Ask it. Go ahead. You got the floor. You can ask it.
What did you do with it? Where that?
I'm going to be Baptist and funny, but I'm dead serious. I put it in the sea of forgetfulness.
Okay.
My anger. It's okay. Yeah. When I'm very serious when I say it. I'll tell my tribe, who is next to me. I was like, this is it could be Deanna, it could be Shannon. You know what? I hadn't been this mad in a long time. And they'll talk to me and say, hey, you don't want to go back to that. And I talk to myself and tell myself, listen, being mad, whatever the situation is, you may have the right to be angry, but it's not going to serve you. You come on and get over it. I'm dead serious. I'm talking to myself like I got a coach talking to me. Hey, come on, get over it. I know we're upset, but, and I also do I don't know if you call it devil's advocate. Hey, maybe they didn't mean it that way. Hey, maybe they, something, but I kind of turn it to where it's not their fault. You getting angry, that's your fault. So, get out of that and go be happy again. Because my friend Deanna keeps telling me, hey, prosperity can't flourish in a tense body. So when I'm angry, I'm tense. So I get that anger out as soon as I can. I had a friend of mine that I heard say a long time ago. Her name is Portia Wilkins. She said, it's okay to be mad for a moment, but don't be mad for the whole day. And I kept that with me as well. I hope that helped you, Ms. PJ.
Yes,
Thank
a lot.
you for your kind words.
And I also give you apologies for not turning on my screen when you asked. It was no disrespect not doing it. I just can't be out in the public right at the moment. Hopefully I will be better soon. So it was nothing personal. Please, I would have loved to turn the camera on for you. But you engaged the audience wonderfully. You had me right there, with you, in the room with you all the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Let's rock the same energy. Who else wants to comment? Actually, hold on. If you're let's take someone on the phone that's not looking and they have to hit *6. So let's get these people first because it's kind of hard. They get passed up.
Yeah.
And Deanna, can you read what Michelle M said in our chat? Because she can't talk right now. I think she's sneaking, listening to you at work maybe. So let's start off with that chat. and then we'll get one of you phone people. If you want to talk, hit *6, we'll let you go.
Michelle said she feels like she is doing a one-on-one coaching with her through the Keynote. She said she is amazing. She said, thank you. She wants me want more from her.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Someone *6 if you're on the phone, and you're more than welcome to talk. I'm going to let you all go first because they always get skipped over.
Hi, Grace. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
This is La Lover. Full disclosure, I'm going out of town, so I didn't catch everything. And I felt horrible about that. But what I did catch was right on time. I'm a huge believer that God does not make mistakes. You said something in your Q&A that actually made me emotional. And I'm not a very emotional woman because of an experience that I had this past Sunday. Your transparency was mind-blowing. And I'm in awe of your ability to be that transparent. You talked about being right and not looking stupid. I can relate to that on so many levels. Letting things go, I'm pretty good with that, but I still struggle with getting angry. And it was refreshing to hear that I'm not the only one, because it's hard when you try to smile and take the high road, if you will. But your transparency in the Q&A for me was right on time. I could feel how truthful you were being in your tone. And I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. I can't wait for this to get uploaded so I can go back and watch the whole thing from start to finish.
There you go. Well, I mean, you got to respond to that right now. She said too much not to respond to that.
Okay. Whoa. Okay. So, Lover, thank you for those words. I do appreciate that I was right on time for you. No, you're not the only one. And let me tell you something, the transparency took a minute because I don't like everybody all over my business. Because again, I didn't like looking stupid. But the more I worked at it and the more I decided, I keep going back to this decision. I had to make a decision. If I didn't, I wouldn't have been able to talk to you all today about what I've gone through and what I've grown through. So, the Lover, it's a process, but I know if anybody can do it, I know you can, because I've seen you, when you make a decision, you clamp down on it and you don't stop until you get it done. So thank you.
All right, Shannon has a very good point here. And thank you very much, Lover, for your feedback. Shannon has a very good point in this chat. Sounds like you need to write a book. Very good point. Very good point. That didn't come from me. It sounds like ease is coming. How I let my anger get the best of me, and how I got the best of me, and how I found the best of me. There you go. Ease is coming. How I let my anger get the best of me, and then how I found the best of me. Wish I had somebody. Boy, I'm so damn good at what I do.
Antonio,
I apologize. Yes, sir.
Can I interject one other thought?
You got to, man. You got to, because you got the energy.
Yeah, I worked 43 years in engineering, and in the last 5 or 6 years before I retired, I saw people having heart attacks in the office. The stress level, because the industry had changed so much. And it took its effects on me as well. And it was because everything was pent up. And this type of keynote, it would be so vital in high-tech industries where people are virtually crumbling internally because we don't know how to let go, because the industry won't let you. To give you some bearing on history, when I first went into the business in the 70s, you could go out and have a beer for lunch. So when you came back to work afternoon, you were kind of relaxed. But now with all of the testing for drugs and alcohol and so forth, people are more tense with the stress level. So I see the kind of keynote that Grace gave us would be so helpful for people that are bursting their brains out every day trying to get things done, technical things. Thank you, Grace. I wish I'd heard it years ago.
Yeah. You got to respond to that too. Right now.
Yes. I hear you, Mr. Vaccine. I'm hearing Shannon with this book, with a workbook. But I do understand this in the workplace, it is very needed because that's where the most stress lies, in the workplace. Can you hear me? Okay. That is where the most stress lies. This is why I had to get out of the classroom. I knew, few people know, but I looked my principal in the face the last year of my teaching career. And I told her, if I stay next year, you are going to give me a pink slip. I knew I had to go. But you are very correct. Daryl said in another training one day, when you have that type of, I'll say addiction right now, but because of anger was my addiction, but anger will cause you to have a stroke, will cause you to have a heart attack, will cause all kinds of diseases, and I didn't want that. I didn't want to die in my 30s. So I appreciate that. I got too much living to do. I got too much money to make. And if I'm gone, I can't see this money and enjoy the fruits of my labor.
Man, wow. All right. And you should write that title of that book down. You should write the subtitle down too. How you eventually got the best of yourself, found the best of yourself? Yeah. All right, you follow Shannon. How my anger got the best of me, yeah, and how I eventually found the best in me. No, that's right.
I want to say something.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. Grace, I thought you did a remarkable job. You were very, very easy to follow and very clear. I was able to tell that you are a teacher, the way that you conveyed the message.
That's fact. That's fact. Yep.
That you came from a classroom, and I love the stories that you told. You were able to draw us in, and all of the illustrations were just great. And I love the way that you were able to be transparent through your struggles and sharing with us, because a lot of us can relate to that. I know I can personally relate to it. And you made me chuckle because I remember a friend of mine was pointing out different things about myself, and I would get an attitude and her and get off the phone because I didn't want to hear it. And I was the type of person who I had a very quick temper, and I decided that I needed to make a change because I didn't want to go to jail. So that was my transformation, because I knew I would be able to survive in jail. But thank you so very much for your transparency, and I loved it. I enjoyed it.
That's right. Ain't no deacons in jail now. Right.
Grace, if I could say something to Grace, it's hard for me to imagine Grace being angry.
Oh, man. Let me tell you.
Well, I believe it because you said it, because that's her story. But it speaks to the fact that she's done a thorough job in dealing with her anger. I, like most people, and probably more than most people, as Grace alluded to, I know anger. And mine was way past anger, way past addiction. It was like one more step in my direction, I might do what Lisa just said. I might go to jail. And what's even worse than that, it festered. It festered for years. And it did result in a stroke. So what you did and how you did it, I was just captivated by trying to find out what you actually did. Because now I can go pick up a book and it can tell me take one step or even do the 12 steps. But I don't see what I see in you for its transformation. So whatever you did, put it in the book, get it out, so we'll know exactly what you did. Grace, I don't believe that you were angry. I think you all aligned. I think this is a good story. This is just a good story, Grace. Congratulations.
Good stuff. Jerome, then Chris Holmes again.
Oh boy, Grace, Fantastic job from start to finish. I love when you said, come on and take this walk with me. I like that. Yeah, because I wanted to take the walk with you. When you also talked about embracing that behavior that doesn't serve you, I like that. I definitely did. And then you said, let's go. So, parent, which was incredible. Guess what else you did, Grace? You wouldn't let us sit by idly as you told your story. You made sure on that journey that we were all involved. Raise your hand, squeeze your hands, all of that. The story about the monk, you would not let us sit idly by as you told this important story that we all needed to hear. The one thing that I hadn't heard anybody say, which truly stuck out with me, was you made it very relevant to today. And know how you did that? When you talked about 2 days ago, when you were in church and you were looking around and nobody had asked your mother to pray, and you asked your mother to pray. And the story you told, I don't know if anybody else caught it, the story you told solidified that there was truly a transformation in your life because your mother spoke. Come on, girl. Your mother, now who knows you better than your mama do? That there was truly a transformation. Girl, you slayed that thing. Go on with your bad self.
You heard him. Chris?
All right. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. On the side note, funny for Grace, because only reason I didn't have my camera on because I was in the car. So it's a little funny thing for her. But on a serious note, I think I'm going to go forward and say this. I believe that this could definitely be a strong workshop that can be possibly global. And the reason why I'm saying this is because hate and just holding on to like grudges is something that holds so many people back, not only in their personal life, but also in the professional life when they're dealing with working with other teammates and things like this. So I definitely believe that this message is one of those messages that can go even further than possibly something really big because of how it relates to everybody's lifestyle. And something that's like the elephant in the room that needs to be addressed. So I love the message, especially to all the points, but I really see something even big just with this keynote right here.
Good stuff, brother. Go ahead and respond to everybody else up until this point.
Lisa, thank you so much. I understand. It stopped, my anger stopped to the point of I only thought about putting my hands on people because jail, me and jail, we don't go together. We don't do that. But I understand where you're coming from. Thank you for your words. It was someone else before Jerome. Daryl, yeah, it's true. It's true. I know you hadn't seen it, but it's true. All 6 of my people can tell you, especially Shannon, and especially Antonio. They can tell you. They can tell you. Yes, I got angry a lot. It was someone else. Was Jerome? Okay, yes, Jerome. Thank you so much. I was writing my keynote. I'm gonna be honest. I was doing my keynote early. I'll say Sunday night, Monday morning, and I was finishing up the touches. And I told myself I was gonna put that in there. And when I did, I just cried because my mama. If anybody knows me, I hold my parents in high regard. I love them so much, and for my mom to notice that I was a much happier person, y'all ain't gonna make me cry today. But it did something to me when she noticed that my life is what I desired, and I'm a much happier person. Chris, you're making me nervous like Shannon Antonio with this book. Somebody going on a world tour. We gonna go on this anger tour. If Antonio gonna get it together so we can make this money. I'm gonna ask him the question I always ask him. Hey Rev, how do we do this so we can go get this money? Tell me what to do so I can work this out. But thank you so much. I do understand where you're coming from. It is a worldwide and a global thing that people deal with, no matter what language you're in. Anger is anger, and I understand. And if I can help somebody around the world, we can go. Let's get on the deck.
You look at what Shannon put in that chat. Write that to it out. You receive.
I know.
You receive. That's good. Last peer comment coming from Robin. Robin, let us hear it.
Hey guys, y'all know I'm in here hustling my butt off. But I definitely I love the speech. I love your keynote, and I love the exercise that you gave with the holding, your fist. And I love that illustration. I was like, oh, that's a good one, because a lot of times people will take it and try to remind you of something that you should be angry about and try to bring it back to your forefront. And the fact that it's like, what are y'all so angry about? Like, I left that go a long time ago. But the other thing I wanted to mention is one of the exercises I used to give to my to the kids when they were younger was the fist. I used to do that one before I even really understood what it really was. I just knew that if you released your hands, that you can't be angry when your hands are open. I don't know why, I just knew that you couldn't do it. But the other thing was, my brother, he would go to McDonald's and take the McDonald's box with the happy face. And he would make the kids walk around with a happy face tied to them with a smiley face and make them look in the mirror at the exercise. So even if they wanted to be angry on the inside, you can't show that on the outside. So the kids, they would look in the mirror at themselves, and he would ask them, are they still angry? And when they can get out the mirror from looking at themselves, when they started to feel happy on the inside and let that anger go. So that was one of just an extra exercise, to put in. I guess, did I hear that she's writing a book? Is that what I heard?
Yes, ma'am. That's what you heard.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's another exercise that you can do, at least for the kids. Like, they can build happy faces and put it on their face, and they gotta look in the mirror until that anger that they got on the inside is no longer there, and they only see what they see on the outside is what they now feel on the inside, which should be a happy face. But great, I loved it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Brian said in chat, loved it, big sis. The illustrations was from the Baptist playbook. You did that. Gotta go, but you dominated that. Awesome. Awesome. So that ends the peer comments. I know we got plenty more to say, but want to give Phil and Susan as much time as they need. So I'm just going to read one section and a half, and then I'm done. And I'm going to let Phil and Susan take over. I have to score you. Let me say this first. You got the highest score in presentation possible. No one has. No one has. I didn't even give Jerome highest score in presentation, and he murdered it. Right? Didn't even do that. He murdered his. So this is in context of that. I have to score you high on presentation alone because all of your points are sticking to your title/theme. You're sticking to your plan and giving natural successional steps to how ease is coming. Your hands are closed illustration proves this point. And once again, you used another illustration after you had just made that point. Then you used the old Zen story right after you made your point with the open hands gives you freedoms, which was tied into another story of the closed hands. Basically, you did two stories back to back in less than 3 minutes, and it really helped your keynote and crowd engagement. This forces me to score you high again. And as a side note, every single time, and I hope I'm saying this just so you can take notes, every time Grace made a point, she told a story. Every single time. I was counting and lost track after 8 stories. I was counting. And some of the stories were disguised. When she would have mentioned Shannon, if she mentioned Antonio, if she mentioned her 6 friends, those were stories. She told over 10. Every time she made a point, she told a story. Good job to you. You deserve it. Phil, Susan, I have all my stuff in I'll email it to you. All my stuff is in, so you don't need to hear no more from me. It's all in there. Phil, Susan, you have the floor.
Wow, Grace, that was excellent. I always love listening to you because I feel your heart and I know your knowledge. And when you say something, you want to hear what you have to say. I agree with everything that was said. You definitely had the organization and flow, and your vocal delivery was spot on. I think with everyone, I'm always looking at how could I sell this? You know, because I book speakers. How can I market this out there? When someone calls and they want this, this, and this, they're looking for this. How could I sell you? And, you know, the engineers, that was great hearing that, because, you know, we have to adjust, and Phil can talk about that, to the audience. And engineers, accountants, those type of people are a lot harder to break through. But the story that you have and the message that you have and the stress level that's out there in the workplace right now, you saying, yes, a book, but everyone said a book, but then I heard you saying a workbook. And that's great, because that can go further. You can go into a company, not just, you know, as a keynote, but actually dig deep into a company and work with them, with their employees. And that's something that, you know, you be on a retainer going in, working with them. And I could see that going further. I loved your stories. I think in the beginning, I would have liked to have heard more of your personal story. I mean, you said you had anger, but I didn't hear any of stories of your anger as a child. So in the beginning, it took me a little while to feel that from you, to feel that you had anger. You know, I love the comment that ease is coming if you want a better life. And I love further on when you talked about Antonio and the team and how they've helped you and how they continue to help you, and how, yes, there is still a struggle there. So I liked hearing that. I'd like to have heard a little bit more about your struggle early on so that I could have felt you in that.
Okay.
So that's all for me.
I took that note down.
Yeah. And again, I'd love to see you next time. Now that you've got the format, I'd love to see you standing up. And because you're a teacher, I know you can do that, because you stood in front of classroom. You gave a keynote, what, 7-8 times a day, every day?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'd like to see you practice that, so that you can start. These are the times to practice that.
Yes, ma'am, will do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great.
Phil.
Look over your right shoulder. What do you see up there on the cabinet?
Books.
They're in your shot. Remember, take care of what's in your background.
Okay. Okay.
So it'd have been nice if those weren't there. And that's just part of the details, that when you put all these details together, they eventually mean something. You know, I could repeat everything everybody else says, but let's just get to the nitty gritty. I would have liked to have you say, let's take a walk earlier on in your program. Because like Susan was saying at the beginning, I was kind of trying to find out where we were going. And for you starting with, let's take a walk. Excuse me. And here's where we're going. And here's where we're going to end up. That would have helped me understand what you're going to put me through. Also, the concept of anger. Well, I also would have liked to have seen you. Why did you become an angry person? If you feel comfortable sharing. If not, that's okay. But to know that, because what we're trying to do is relate to the people sitting in the audience, where somebody says, oh, I understand that. And I'm sure when you were an angry person, you didn't have this beauty and this smile and this just, when you smile or when you laugh, you just light up a room. I'm sure when you were angry, you didn't do that. And if you were an actor, I'd like to see that at some point. If you can go back to that and say, you know, get that look in your eye or get that facial expression that you had before, so we can move with you through the transformation. Here's another line for it. Somebody's saying that I'm not angry, but I whine a lot. Well, whining is anger trying to get through a very small opening. Mm-hmm. So for some of those people that say, well, I'm not angry, but well, you may ask them, well, you may say to yourself, you're not angry. But if you find yourself whining, well, whining is just anger trying to get through a very small opening. Or are you judgmental? Or are you opinionated? Or do you have guilt or do you give guilt? Are you a victim or do you create victims? That's broadening the scope of the people that are going to relate to you. Because again, there may be some people in the audience say, well, I'm not an angry person. Why should I even listen to this lady? Well, that's where you need to broaden whatever you're doing and whatever you're teaching so it can be relevant to everybody. Your name, one of my phrases, and I'm giving you permission to use it, always be gracious. You can't lose. And when you're not gracious, you can't win. And grace is controlled power. The grace of God is controlled power. LeBron James on the basketball court is controlled power. Well, when aren't you gracious is when you lose control. So that could be a component of, so I've learned for me to handle my anger was always be in control of my own emotions. And remember, your feelings and your emotions, that's the thermometer of your soul. And denying your feelings is like putting a gas gauge putting a sticker over the gas gauge of your automobile and say, I'm not going to pay any attention to that information, and see how far that gets you. Yeah. Your stories were wonderful. You know, continue to build those out. Your delivery. I would have liked to have seen you change your pace a little bit more, because you kind of kept going this one pace, and it's vocal variety is what it's called. So be a little louder, be a little projective, and then be a little quiet. Slow down. So change your pace. Again, smile and laugh more, because you light up a room when you smile. You light up a room when you laugh. And that just shows you the enthusiasm, which is entheos, which is God within. That's now what's coming out of you. I would have liked to have you say, you know, here you could say at the 3 points, here are the 3 points I'm going to cover at the beginning. And then at the end, say, I hope everybody got, here are the 3 points I want you to take back and implement. And great eye contact, great gestures. You certainly are going to make a difference out there. And certainly you have, and will continue to make the world a better place because of the kind of person you are. Other than that, love you.
Love you too, Phil. Thank you so much, you and Susan.
That's fantastic feedback. That's fantastic. Well, of course, it's fantastic feedback. That's what they're here for, right? And they've been doing this for 30 plus years. Combine them both, that's 60 years. Because they each have 30 years of their own experience. Combine them both for 60 years. But what Phil just said at the tail end, I also have. So let me say this just for note-taking purposes. I dinged her on her introduction. I dinged her. I dinged her pretty good. And let me tell you, let me see, should I say that? How do I make this a teaching point without using you as an example? If you have, use Grace as an example, but not Grace as an example. I'm going to tread lightly here. If you're as powerful as Grace, naturally, did everyone pick up on that, how powerful she is? Naturally. I'm going to need part of your presentation to show that power. Okay? You're sometimes what we can do is, in the case where I dinged her, hold on, let me pull it up. Remember, I'm taking notes the whole time you were talking, and they're very detailed. Let's see. Anyway, I say something to the effect of, it doesn't matter, but I say something to the effect of, when your content is this powerful, you need to match it. Y'all remember that. I'm only saying it for notes, because what you should be doing is taking notes of all the people who went before you, so that you don't do that. If you pay attention, Grace found new ways to get critiques, nothing that came before her. If you paid attention to what she did. Fantastic. I honestly think you got the highest score. I really do. I'm not sure. If not, you're tied with the highest score. You're definitely up there. And that's even with the ding of the introduction. All y'all introductions are too short. All of y'all introductions are too short. I would seriously rock with your introduction was 4 minutes, and I put it in your notes. I would rock, it's a 25-minute keynote. If you have a strong 5 to 7 minute introduction, just knock it out. It sets the tone. What Grace did, like a pure preacher, is she transitioned so greatly. That's what she did so well. Every transition was just spectacular. So I won't give you more feedback. You can read mine. I'm just saying things for note taking so you all can have it. If your content is that powerful, you need to somehow match it. No different than when your content was powerful about freedom and letting go. You matched it with your gestures. Sometimes you also need to match it with your voice. Is that fair? If you understand you matched it with your gestures, what Phil and I are saying is sometimes match your content with your voice, or the emphasis in your voice. It doesn't have to be loud. Just emphasize powerful content. Is that fair to everyone? That's just notes. That's just for notes. That's just for notes. When you say introduction, do you mean opening? No. I mean, well, I gotta ask you a question. When you say opening, what do you mean? Yeah. What do you mean by opening, Phil?
Well, I mean her part of her presentation, her opening.
Yes, her part of her presentation.
Now, when you say introduction, I think of the written thing that the person reads. That's where I was a little confused.
Fair enough. All right. Okay, fair enough. Her opening. So the opening
there we
is
go.
What I mean. Yeah. The opening, not the introduction. We don't want that 5 to 7 minutes. That's you lose your whole audience. Yeah, you lose your audience. No, the opening. But you spoke for 18 minutes, having a 4-minute opening for 18 minutes balanced out. But the goal is to go 25. So what you did, in proportion, it worked. All of you should be practicing how you start. And what Grace did, once again, both Jerome and Grace, they knew how to exit. Did y'all catch that? One of the hardest things for a speaker to do is know when to exit. Especially when you're on stage with no notes and you memorize what you're doing. We don't know how to leave the stage. It's one of the hardest things to do. That's it there. Fantastic, Grace. Fantastic. You're the first person to get a 4 on presentation. First person. Let's clap for that. First person. That is fantastic. Fantastic. So, Phil, Susan, any last words?
It's funny because we're in different parts of the house. So, we're not communicating. So when he hears me or I hear him, it's the first time. And I think that we had a lot of the same ideas, especially at the beginning, to engage us, to feel you, and more about your personal story.
Yeah, I agree.
They both did say that.
Yeah, well, I definitely agree, and I want to see the transfer. I want to see the Grace before, and then the Grace transitioning, and then where Grace is today. And then you just, if I can do this with me, I'm going to help you here today to do it with you.
There you go. Good stuff. Now, I want y'all to pay attention because some of you don't understand what's happening. Okay, so let me just energy make you understand what's happening. Grace gave, if not the best, one of the best keynotes, because by score, period, point blank. The feedback she's getting from Phyllis Susan makes it a dominant keynote. There is a difference. Do not confuse getting better with desired results. You should write that down. Make it a core value. Do not confuse getting better with desired results. Those are two totally different things. Grace did great. I better not see this performance in the second round. Because then she's plateauing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Fantastic. I'm serious. I really think you have the highest score. I don't remember no more because there's too many people. I'm pretty sure you do have the highest score by half a point. I'm not sure though. Jerome, that means she would have probably knocked you out the park by half a point. I don't know. Y'all should fight to the death and see who. Yeah, you know, fight to the death and see who's going to get that half a point. I think you edged him out by half a point. I already emailed it out. But I think you edged him out by half a point.
She already gets it. She's my ambassador. End of conversation.
She's the ambassador. Is that all right? Okay. Well, since both of y'all are insane, go ahead, Susan.
One other thing about Grace, you know, as you're saying this, she is a powerful woman. I feel her strength and her power, and then her grace on top of that. So that's why I'm anxious to, you know, as Phil said, the things that we're talking about, to integrate into that, and then I'm going to feel the power and the grace combined, and I can see her walking across that stage. I can see her going from side to side in the center, and the power that she's going to have, and then softening it up and bringing it in, and then going further with workbooks to help people as they journey on in their own journey. So I can really see this, you know, going. And that's why,
Susan, I'm glad. Oh.
Yeah, that's why the feedback we have, I mean, this was great, as the scoring that Antonio gave you was spot on. But what we want to do is now take this and just build on it so that, you know, like I heard you say, how to make money. I heard that. And that's what you can do with that. See the smile on her face now.
Yeah, definitely. Susan, in my opinion, just gave the best feedback of the night, and I'll tell you why. We're getting ready to go into the 2020 Olympics, and I love the Olympics. And the ladies' gymnastics you have it unfair. Women, I want you to listen to what Susan said. The women have an unfair disadvantage when getting judged because they don't want the women to be powerful like the men, but they have to be powerful. This is in the ladies' gymnastics. And what they have to do in order to score a high score is exactly what Susan said. They must somehow be as powerful as a man while then being graceful and soft like a woman. That's why if you look at the women's routine, it's very different from the men. Mm-hmm. It's unfair, but this is the ladies' gymnastics. And I want you to receive that because what's the breakdown of what they got to do? Yeah. The women have to be because in order to do these flips, they have to show the explosion, and they also have to show the implosion of the landing. No, that's not the grace part. Because the landing is, you know, that one hop or none, hopefully no hop, you know what I'm saying? But then during the dance routine, they have to be graceful. If you've ever seen, if you just, I'm dare you YouTube it, you'll see them, as soon as they finish the grace of the dance routine, all the women do it because they have to switch mindsets. They then get to the edge of the mat, and then they pause. And then you can see them transform from a flower to a lion. And then they explode out running. If you look at it, you see, and I'm just really big. I almost put my oldest son in gymnastics because he was showing a thing for flipping and stuff. But if you can see it. And so I think the greatest comment that happened thus far was what Susan said, because it matches the world class of women's gymnastics. Remember, I always teach y'all, draw influence from everywhere, draw inspiration from everywhere. So you've got the power. You get it? You got the power. Show the grace. You get it? But then your content has the power. Also show that power. You get it? So just follow what she said, you'll be just fine. Actually, you won't be just fine. You'll be charging $35,000 a keynote. There you go. All right, everybody, clap for Grace. Appreciate you to unmute your mics, let her hear it. Come on, show us some love. We ending. Unmute your mics, let her hear it.
Hey, Grace.
Good job,
Yes.
good job, good job. Grace, you just became the second commercial for the Bureau of Dominant Speakers, so good job. Fantastic job for you. That's it. Wonderful job for all of you always being here. I'm so grateful for you. The lover who is going out of town to wherever out of the country tomorrow. I think it's Costa Rica. There it is, right there. She's going out and she still showed up. So good job all to you. Thank you, Phil and Susan. Your feedback's already there. You can plant better. You can dominate. Appreciate you, everybody.